Hello, everybody, and thank you for listening to Retold, a Harry Potter podcast. This is a show for Potter fans of all sorts to tune in and have fun living in the wizarding world just a little more. My name is Barry, and every week I sit down with a new guest host and we go through the Harry Potter books 2 chapters at a time. We also have some fun segments filled with trivia, deep lore, movie changes, and favorite lines. And at the very end of the episode, we have a spoiler section called the Restricted section. Ooh. This week, we'll be covering chapters 5 and 6 of the Chamber of Secrets, and I'm joined by my 2 really good friends and returning hosts, Jessie and Jonathan. And we had a whole lot of fun in this episode, so I think you're really going to enjoy it. My only house elf keeping thing for this week is to say that I accidentally forgot to say what the answer was to your Quizzitch question last week. So I'll just say that here. The question for last week was, what does Lucius take from Ginny Weasley's cauldron in Flourish and Blots? And the answer to that question was A Beginner's Guide to Transfiguration. So hopefully you got that right. No worries if not, because I also forgot to ask you your Quizzitch question this week during the episode as well. So I'll say that right now. Your question for this week is, what does Professor Lockhart say that his ideal birthday gift would be? If you had read chapter 12 of Weekend with Werewolves, you would know that. Anyway, if you would like to answer that question, or if you would like to send me a comment, owl post, or howler, you can do so by emailing me at theretoldpodcast@gmail.com, or you can send me a message on Instagram at theretoldpodcast. Anyway, please rate and review the show if you can. That helps me out a lot. Share it with all your Potter friends. And hope you enjoy the episode.
1, 2, 3. Expelliarmus!
I'll be in my bedroom, making no noise and pretending that I don't exist.
Oh dear, we are in trouble.
Where have you been? You shall not harm Harry Potter. 50 points and it goes to her head.
I strongly recommend caution.
Scared Potter.
You wish. I didn't know you could read.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Retold, the podcast where I retell you my favorite story of all time, Harry Potter. Today, we are retelling chapters 5 and 6 of Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, which are The Whomping Willow and Gilderoy Lockhart. But I'm not here alone. I am joined by 2 lovely returning guests. Everybody, welcome to the stage, Jonathan Plotner.
What's up, everyone?
Yo, 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 yo. And Jessie, I almost said your old last name, Jessie Marlowe. There we go.
That's right. Good job.
How you doing, guys?
Good. How are you doing?
Yeah, doing great.
Fantastic. Well, I'm glad to have you guys back here. I love doing episodes with you guys. Jessie, they've heard you. They're probably sick and tired of not just me, but also you by now.
Probably. And I probably give off a Hermione vibe too. Like, it's Leviosa, not Leviosa.
And Jonathan, everybody's so stoked to have you back.
Of course.
Because you are, I don't know if the listeners, I mean, they have to know this. They're the ones that listen to it. My episode with you is the most listened to episode.
Ooh,
wow.
And it's not even close. For some reason, people were just like, this deep voice.
My melodious voice and moderately good quips.
Moderately. Well, we're glad to have you both back. Now, here's the thing. Normally, we do your fandom ID, but we don't need to ask you guys your fandom ID. Everybody knows it. First of all, Jessie says every 5 seconds, I'm a Ravenclaw. So we know she's a Ravenclaw. And Jonathan's a Gryffindor. So I remembered that. Props to me. So instead of asking your fandom ID, we're going to ask you guys today, if you were a teacher at Hogwarts, what class would you teach? What subject would you teach?
Jessie?
All right. I thought long and hard about this. And still only have it whittled down to 2. But I think either Transfiguration or History of Magic, because one, I think I could make History of Magic way more interesting than Professor Binns, and there's a lot to work with because there's crazy goblin wars every 10 years. So I feel like that would be so fun. I like history in general and stories and everything. But then also I really like, I was between Transfiguration and Charms. but I feel like Transfiguration is cooler, even though in most of the lessons they do silly things. Like I was watching the movie and like ferverto, you turn a bird into a water glass, and I'm like, what?
Useful.
I know. Like, all right, let's just see this bird over here. Oh, I need a drink of water. Like, so, but like the stuff that they do, like when McGonagall transfigures knights and stuff, that's way cooler. So,
when you said knights, I was like today?
Into the day.
yes, master of the time and day. But
Celestial bodies.
But so there's much cooler things about Transfiguration that, I mean, Matchbox into Dormice is not, that doesn't get me going, but
Fair.
but yeah. So probably Transfiguration, I would say.
Very good. And Jonathan?
So initially my thought was, of course, defense against the dark arts.
Dada?
But I feel like that's what you're set up to, like the position you're set up to want. But then I was thinking about it more, and honestly, maybe if I did, I would be a little bit of a reformer, because the curriculum's like, oh, we're just going to talk about all these dark creatures, which doesn't seem nearly like the cool things that I would want to get into with that, with actually like combating dark wizards and actually the dark arts, not just, I don't know, a vampire. But so I think I kind of lean towards charms, honestly, because that's really what feels useful and cool. When I think of most of the things that are done that are cool, it's charms.
I also feel like every time we go to Flitwick's class, it's just a comedy sketch.
Yeah.
Like, I love one of my favorite moments is in the fourth book when they're learning the summoning charm, Accio. It says that Flitwick is just like being flown around the room, like just to and fro. And it also says it's like being done casually. Like Harry and Hermione and Ron are having a conversation while he's like, wah, wah. Well, very cool. So, professors Jonathan and Jessie, shall we begin?
Yes, we shall.
All right. Quizzitch time. So we got.
Oh boy.
That's right.
Gotta get my questions out.
That's right. So we got two guests here today. And again, these questions are over chapters 5 and 6, just those chapters. And here's how we'll do it. Since there's two of you, we'll do what we've done in the past when we've had two guests. I will ask each of you two questions. You are not allowed to help each other with your questions,
That's a bummer.
because I have specifically demarcated questions for Jonathan and questions for Jessie.
Oh, he dumbed it down for me.
You're gonna love one of these.
I know, I'm gonna be sitting here like, can't say the answer.
But I'll ask you a question, then you ask me, and then I'll ask Jessie, and she asks me, and we'll keep going like that.
Beans.
Do we want to do beans?
I was just wondering why you had them sitting there.
I mean, it's from last time.
It's not for no reason it has them sitting there.
We can ASMR. We can bean it up. I'm about it. So if we get the question wrong, we eat the bean. I don't have a plastic bag though to like spit it out into.
Spitting it out. Is that what you've been doing this whole time?
No,
That's deceptive.
We didn't get any back.
Here I was listening to the podcast thinking you're actually eating the beans. Meanwhile, he just says, oh, that's nasty.
I just like make the noise and then I just do all that.
It's all a ruse.
'Tis a ruse. One of them is false. Did you see our Lord of the Rings tier list?
Tier list?
Yes, we made a Lord of the Rings tier list.
Oh.
It's on the group me. So you have to check. Me, Ileana, Hunter, and Sydney made one. And so there'll be some takes that I know you strongly disagree with.
Probably.
But more on that after the podcast. So question number 1, I'm going to hit Jonathan with it. What is Lockhart's favorite color?
Oh, goodness.
Do you know? I figured.
Green.
Green is incorrect.
Yeah, of course.
And Jessie, the correct answer was?
Lilac.
Lilac.
Yeah, that wasn't going to
Bean.
come. Yeah. That should have been. It's a little blue.
Oh, blue ones are safe, right? What is it?
I think I've been rewarded for my failure.
I love when that happens.
Okay.
What? Oh yeah, your turn.
I don't really know what it is.
It's
But it
okay.
tastes moderately good. Okay, Barry.
Yes, Jonathan.
What is the item that Fred forgets and they have to go back to retrieve?
Filibuster fireworks.
Incorrect.
Dang it, was that
That's
George?
what George.
Dang it.
Fred forgot his broomstick.
Oh, no. Because in my head, I was like, I know they both forgot something.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go with Fred because it's F. Fred, filibuster firework. But they were all deceived. All right, so 0-0. By the way, I think it's tied at the moment.
Okay.
Just to recount the score, it's 2-2. No, 3-3. It's 3-3.
Don't worry, future Barry will come and correct.
Yeah, he'll come and correct us. I just know in the first episode, I did it with Bailey, and we're gonna re-record the episode for a bunch of reasons, but we're gonna keep the Quizzits portion because she schooled me.
Oh, wow.
She trashed me, and I was thinking it's Harry Potter. I'm gonna go easy on her. She's not that into it, but she's
easy on Bailey.
She's a literary genius, so she just needs to read it the one time, and it's like in there. And so she was literally doing the thing that I do in episodes where she goes, "Do you want another question? Would you like another one?" I was like, "No, I don't want another freaking question." And then she gave me another one, and I got that wrong.
Oh no.
Jessie, your question. In what book does Lockhart say his favorite color? Do you like the distinction there?
Yes. Is it Travels with Trolls?
It is Year with the Year.
Oh, I knew it. That was because it's in the same paragraph,
Mhm.
and those were both listed, and I couldn't remember which one it was. Oh
Ooh,
no!
it's not a
No.
good showing for us. So
Oh no!
Oh, I didn't beam.
Oh yeah, you being first.
I'm so
You
nervous.
could do it at the same time.
Oh, we both got green. Okay.
There's probably some TikTok.
Mine is like green
Grass.
pepper, probably. Okay. Watermelon.
Green apple.
Wow.
Yeah. I can
Okay.
see. You can see the rotten egg one right there.
Hey,
I'm not looking though when I grab.
I wonder if
We need to shake it up because I see a lot of the. It's only good ones at the top right there. All right, Jonathan. Wait, no. It's your turn to ask
Oh
me a
yeah, I
question.
didn't ask you a question.
yeah.
Okay. What is the order the Weasleys go through platform 9 3/4?
Fred and George first, then Arthur, then Percy.
You've already gotten it wrong.
Oh, it's Percy first.
Percy first.
Percy. As I was saying, I was like, oh no, Percy's in there. So I got it wrong.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was Percy, Mr. Weasley, and then Fred and George, and then Ginny and Mrs. Weasley.
Okay, I was about to pitch a fit and be like, "Hey, you didn't give me time to finally submit the answer, but I would have kept Fred and George at first, so I would have gotten wrong anyway. Never mind. Another
keep
beam.
in mind that you might pitch a hissy fit.
Oh! Ah!
Rotten egg.
No!
Could be deviled egg
Ooh.
or lemon.
Just keep your distance. We don't want to be smelling your breath after this.
It's banana.
Oh.
I was so worried. It is sticking to my teeth right now. All right, Jonathan.
Oh boy.
Still 0-0.
We gotta
after-
get something right.
I know. Hush, computer. How many muggles see the flying car?
6.
I'll allow it.
Oh, really?
Really?
Because he said 6 or 7.
Okay.
So, 1 is correct.
Hey.
Yay, good job. I guess I just had it since I just watched the movie. They
Yeah.
only said 7 in the movie.
You were seen by no less than 7 muggles.
Okay. But in the book, he
says 6 or 7.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So
Good job, Jonathan.
I tried to maybe make you think about this one.
Make me
We'll
think.
see. How old, approximately, was Harry when the Dursleys last gave him pocket money?
I like that one.
Guess what? The book is wrong. He was 11.
The book is wrong.
The book is wrong.
Because he doesn't remember correctly.
He doesn't remember correctly. I remembered that. The last time they gave him pocket money was last year at Christmas, and they gave him the 6-pence piece. Bam!
Is that from the first book?
It's from the first book.
Wow.
But
Well,
he
But
does
at
say...
least answer his question for what his intended answer was.
Yeah, but I got it right.
Yeah, okay.
sure,
yeah,
that's
right.
fair. But do you get this part
Yeah.
right? According to Harry's own
Yeah,
remembrance.
according to Harry's misremembrance.
Yeah, is it 5 years?
How old he is?
Oh, so was he 6?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Because it was 6 years ago, approximately 6 years ago to his recollection.
And he's 12
and he's
here.
12.
Yes. I only got that right because I just did math wrong.
Yeah, honestly, you said 5 years.
So we're like, oh, what's 5 minus 12? Okay. Good stuff.
Yay!
I guess I learned something in my question.
Right?
No,
I know I had that for the chapter
that thought
later.
too, but I was like, does that really count as pocket change, though? I don't know. I guess it did.
I guess it did. Jessie, your question.
Okay.
How many points does Hermione earn for Gryffindor on her first day?
20.
Is that your final answer?
I hate when you ask me that.
It could be right, could be wrong.
I know. I'm trying to think what other classes, because I know she gets 2 sets of points in herbology. I don't think they give her anything else that's said. I'm gonna go with 20.
It's 30.
What else
She
does
gets
she get?
10 points from Mr. Lockhart.
She does.
Oh, that's right.
Mm-hmm,
For getting a perfect score.
I usually only ever ask, "Are you sure?" to help out. So
Okay.
in your future episodes, you
Keep
can
that in mind.
Keep that in mind. Okay. I forgot the Lockhart one.
I didn't know. you were going
I'm
to do
sad.
that.
I just got both of my Quizzitch questions wrong. That saddens me. Now I have this. Oh, this looks like.
That's soap. That's soap for sure. You need to wash your mouth out after all that you've said and done.
It's not that bad. It's mint. It's like.
We can ham it up for the
Like
audience.
toothpaste.
Okay, so your question for me.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. That's toothpaste. I just got to the bad part. That was toothpaste. Okay. Where was Justin Finch Fletchley going to school before he found out he was a wizard?
Okay, the answer you're looking for is Eton,
Yes.
but that's wrong.
Wow.
The question is wrong because we have no idea. He had not gone to Eton yet. Eton is a secondary school, and he said he was listed to go to Eton.
Yeah.
He never actually went.
No, that's what I said. Where was he going to go
You
to
said
school?
where was he in school?
No. Oh, well, I misspoke. I meant, like, where was he going to go?
I'm going to sound like such a douchebag
I
to
know.
every single listener.
My question-
Says, oh,
word for
your
word.
question wrong.
I know, it's-
Your question wrong.
I know,
Where was he
actually.
going to go to school?
I have to like put on my super big boy pants when Jessie comes on the pod.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
Water break.
I can't believe I got both of mine wrong. I guess I just have to throw myself out the window.
I feel terrible. I'm like,
please stay in the room.
yeah, please stay. I did so much to prepare this room for you guys. We're at, for listeners don't know, we're at my home office, and I've literally
Home
put
studio.
yeah. Super professional, and I've put up blankets and pillows all over this room. It's quite, and even some coats. But anyway, there it is. Those are our Quizzitch questions. And now we will be moving on to our retelling of chapters 5 and 6.
Woot woot.
Yay! So, listeners, if you don't know, the way this usually works is we will start off with some opening thoughts on the chapter. We will recap what happens in it. And then at the end of each chapter discussion, we will share our favorite lines from the chapter. And then I will mention we'll have a Transfiguration section where we highlight differences that the movies made from the books. And then we will have a Golden Snitch section, which are deep little lore grabs and behind the scenes things that maybe the normal fan might not know about. And then at the end of the second chapter we cover, we will have a restricted section where it's spoiler talk. All right. Because we want to avoid the bigger spoilers if we can. Sometimes we don't. And, depending on the severity, we might edit it out or keep it in. It's crazy over
Who's
here.
to say?
But if you don't want spoilers, don't worry. You should be okay. But if you do, stick around for that restricted section, and otherwise known as the Chamber of Secrets.
Ooh. Okay.
All right. So, opening thoughts on this chapter. I didn't write any down. I guess this
You had
one.
no thoughts.
It's a little silly.
It's a little silly. I liked with Ron is better in this chapter than his representation in the movie.
For sure.
I highlighted some of it where, like,
Although Not by a ton.
Not by a ton. Yeah, we'll just leave it at that. Do you guys have any other opening thoughts? Since I didn't.
No, I just think that this chapter is like, I'm like, how can you be so stupid? But then I think about the other 12-year-olds that I know, and I'm like,
right?
Yeah, okay.
Well, let's get to it. Chapter 5, The Whomping Willow. So here we go. Just to recap. Oh, not a recap. Summer is over way too soon, and Harry's bummed. He thinks, dang, I got some angry Dursleys to come back to at the end of this year. And that's something I often think about at the, like, whenever he makes his great escapes each chapter of, like, when he makes his great escapes of each chapter is like, when he comes home, how are they feeling? Like, you got us again.
The only good thing is it's like, at least it's been almost half a year, you know? So they've had some time to cool down and forget.
The last summer night sounds amazing. They have all of Harry's favorite foods. There's a show with a bunch of mini fireworks in the kitchen and some hot cocoa, although that part sounded terrible. I was like, hot cocoa in summer? What are y'all? I'm just putting it up to a Britain thing. Like, maybe it's just always cold. I don't know. But then you have book 5 when they're in the middle of the heat, like the drought. But anyway, hot cocoa, I wasn't that big on that one. But everything else sounded really cool. Do y'all have any end of summer traditions? Like growing up, I mean, because now we're adults and we don't go to school.
Yeah.
But whenever you were in school,
break.
So, besides like crying, because
Yeah.
the summer's over.
Usually cramming all of the books I was supposed to read over summer.
Oh, yes.
Reading list.
Yes, my summer tradition was annotating 5 books in an hour and making up crap in the margins.
I didn't have any. So anyway, they go to bed, and the next morning gave me flashbacks of family vacations because it says, they load up the car and they keep having to go there and back. But before we talk about that one, I wanted to mention I love that Arthur shows Harry the trunk. And he's like, hey, bro, you'll appreciate this. It's a Muggle car, but bigger. And also...
He's like, don't tell Molly that anything is suspicious. This is how Muggle cars are supposed to be. And
I love when she goes and gets in the car, she's like, wow, look at those Muggles.
Yeah. Okay, but really, Molly?
This is Molly's I love magic moment.
Yeah.
Then this is where things get crazy. So they load up in the car and they go to leave, but then there and back again, just like our buddy Baggins. I'll read this part here. Everybody keeps forgetting stuff. Harry, turning back for a last look at the house, he barely had time to wonder when he'd see it again when they were back. George had forgotten his box of filibuster fireworks. 5 minutes after that, they skidded to a halt in the yard so that Fred could run in for his broomstick. Dang it, I wish I knew that. They almost had reached the highway when Jenny shrieked that she'd left her diary. By the time she had clambered back into the car, they were running very late and tempers were running high.
By the way, I made a note here that there might be a restricted section.
There definitely is a restricted section. Maybe, who knows? Nothing significant popped up in that last paragraph. Anyway, I like Mr. Weasley trying to convince Molly to let him fly. When he's like, Molly, come on, let's just.
I love though that she's like not in the daytime, which hints that she might have been okay if it was the night.
She's crazy at night. We learned from some later books that she did some crazy things come nighttime. All right. Restrict us. That truly is restricted. Yeah. At 11:45, they finally reach King Cross Station, race inside, and find the spot to get to, platform 9 3/4. We were given a reminder of what that is, and they only got 5 minutes left to board the train when they start taking their turns running through the barrier. Dadgum, I even wrote it down. Percy first. All good. Mr. Weasley, all good. Fred and George, Molly, Jenny, all good. Finally, Ron and Harry are lined up. And I wrote, I like how Harry makes sure that Hedwig is okay because he adjusts him on the cart. He's like, you good, buddy? And this should have been my opening thoughts for the chapter. This is not a good Hedwig chapter.
No, she's really
well, and just the whole book so far.
Yeah, she's had a rough life right now.
Truly. And so They run at the barrier, and then, bam, they crash into the wall. Not all good. All their stuff goes everywhere, trunks and carts on the ground. Poor Hedwig goes bouncing off in her cage, just shrieking. And the guard's like, the heck y'all doing? But he says it more British. Why did I make that note? What does he say?
He says, what in the blazes do you think you're doing?
What in the blazes?
I think it's singular.
Singular. He says, what in blazes do you think you're doing? And when I was reading this to my son, I did it in a Cockney accent that surprised even myself how good it was. And if I try to do it right now, I won't.
I thought you were about to say it surprised your son, and I was like,
Yeah.
your 4-month-old son was like, wow, good job, Mom.
You're really getting me into
but he actually does just sit there with an open mouth and just stare at me and wonder all the time. So
I mean, that's what I'm like whenever Jim Dale reads the audiobooks to me. I'm just listeners could not see that, but you guys laughed, except Jonathan. He didn't laugh. He just stared at me. I do like this note about people muttering cruelty to animals, because it says when Hedwig goes bouncing off, people are like, man, he's mistreating that out, just banging the cage against the wall. After collecting themselves, the boys realize that they cannot get through the barrier. If we can't get through, maybe Mom and Dad can't get back. Ron's like, bro, you got any Muggle money? Maybe we can Uber there. Now,
yeah, not sure what he's really planning on doing.
yeah, I know. I didn't get that either.
like maybe we can hop a train and
we
and just go to the secret magic place that none of the Muggles know about.
Ron's logic in this chapter does not work at all. I can think of 18 other things I would have tried before what they tried.
And then this is where I made my note. I said I thought it was interesting. Harry laughs and says no, because the Dursleys haven't given him pocket change in 6 years. But as a boy who has now podcasted through all the books, or all of book one, I now know this to be a lie. I'd make more a big deal about it, but we talked about it in Quizzitch. They gave him the 6 pence, in case anybody skipped it. Yeah. They gave him the 6 pence piece last year during Christmas.
Yeah, he should have definitely had that still on him, and that would have been very useful in this moment.
I wonder if he did give it to Ron, though, because he said...
Oh, yeah, he did, because Ron was like, oh, that's so cool. Can I have that?
Mm-hmm. Ron tries to hear the train through the wall, and I don't think that would work anyway. With it being... Otherwise, Muggles could walk by and just be like...
Okay, we're going to talk about Muggles walking by, just the whole concept. I mean... In the middle of a crowded train station.
I've always lied to myself and thought, there's some charm on the wall that makes it so Muggles don't notice as easily. But that's not confirmed.
At least this one is not as egregious as How to Get into St. Mungo's.
Oh, yeah.
That one is awful. And we'll get to that in book 5. So anyway, Ron tries to hear through the wall. All of a sudden, Ron has a brain blast. They should take the car. And I love the logic. It's very dumb teenager logic. We're stuck, right? And we've got to get to school, haven't we? And even underage wizards are allowed to use magic if it's a real emergency. Section 19 or something of the restriction of thingy is what he says.
If I was ever on the fence of whether I should do something that seemed reckless, that would be the line. It's like, you've convinced me, Ron.
And
the restriction of thing he tells me?
This guy knows what he's talking about.
And he knows that that's in extreme circumstances to defend yourself or protect yourself, and he thinks, this warrants it.
This is pretty extreme.
We missed the school bus.
Did you guys ever miss the school bus growing up?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. I remember I had a very lovely Jewish man who was at my bus stop, and he had I just remembered he was Jewish. And
you had a lovely Jewish man at your bus stop?
Well, he had a son who was I think 2 grades below me. Okay. And we were good friends. So good that the only fact I can remember about him is that he was Jewish.
Yes, of course.
And there was one time I run out there after the bus had already gone, and he had I guess he was there on his phone or something. He goes, "Oh, Barry, you missed it. Here, get in the car. Let's go." And so I hopped in this man's car who had never met my parents or anything, and he just drove me after the bus.
You're telling me his car didn't fly?
It didn't fly. He was more concerned about the restriction of thingy. He would not violate that. And it was daytime. He could do it at nighttime, not daytime. It makes me think of that one bird. Daytime, nighttime. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
Ooh.
Yeah, me neither. Whatever. So anyway, Harry gets super hyped about Ron's logic. I love that. Harry's feeling of panic suddenly turned to excitement. You know, he's like, dude, you're right. Yeah, let's do this.
And that's like totally a 12-year-old boy thing. That's a great idea.
So off they go. They load up into Fort Anglia. They check to see if the coast is clear, and they hit the skies. The car turns invisible. And honestly, this charm is terrifying. Like, this is worse than like Thestral riding, because at least when you ride that thing, I won't spoil entirely what that is, but you can at least see yourself. When the car goes invisible, apparently you can't even see yourself. It says Harry thought he was just a pair of floating eyeballs, because he's like, my body's gone. You know, he can't see himself at all.
That's some next level stuff. Like, we need to talk about this car a little bit, but more on that later.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, restricted section.
The charm is faulty, though, and it makes me think the invisibility booster must be faulty.
Okay, but also, when have charms ever been like, I don't know, programmed into buttons?
Well, as we know, the car was just getting tired. Okay, he does say that later.
Okay.
But also, I mean, the Hagrid's motorbike had buttons that.
Yeah, that's
that did
true.
stuff.
Shut up the dragon flame and all that.
Yeah.
You know?
That still just feels like a different magic system to me.
Yeah.
But
I'll allow it.
I mean,
I have so
fine.
decreed. It's canon. They flicker some. Oh, luckily, though, the clouds or the charm doesn't last. It goes out. They flicker some. Then they hide in the clouds, and they realize, oh shoot, we got to know where the train is. So they, like, every once in a while they'll sneak back up and or sneak down so they can see everything, and then they come back up. They watch the train. It's going due north, so they go due north as well. They get there.
Okay, just one thing
Of course.
before we move on. The Hogwarts Express.
Yes,
This is just visible from the sky.
like it's
Like,
not invisible.
what's the
too.
deal with that? How
That's
do
a
we
good point.
keep this secret?
Well,
If any plane or whatever,
I don't think there's necessarily anything that you'd have to keep secret about the train other than, like, because no one's going to look at it and think it's going to a magic school. Like, there's no magic about the Hogwarts Express itself. It's just the train.
Maybe
that's
the
red.
train is hidden
That's
though.
fair.
Like once it starts to get along that path.
Well, I mean, they probably, when they go into, because we know Hogsmeade is hidden through some various charms and means, and I don't know, but I feel like the Hogwarts Express itself wouldn't need to be. You'd just be like, oh, what a pretty red train.
Well, what if you tried to follow it to its conclusion? Would it just?
Then you get confunded.
Oh yeah, I guess so.
Or
I mean, that's
die.
fair. That's fair. I don't know. That was just something I thought. Like, they're just able to find this from the sky.
Seems pretty sus. Plot hole. Sorry, JK. Cancel. But I wrote here, they get their How to Train Your Dragon moment in the clouds. I do love that when they're like, it was as though they had been plunged into a fabulous dream. This, thought Harry, was surely the only way to travel, past swirls and turrets of snowy cloud in a car full of hot, bright sunlight with a fat pack of toffees in the glove compartment. You know, like in How to Train Your Dragon.
Yeah, I remember those toffees.
This whole like scene in the book has such good imagery, and I'll read. This is one of my favorite sentences. It was a different world. The wheels of the car skimmed the sea of fluffy clouds, the sky a bright, endless blue under the blinding white sun. And I'm like, what a picture! I feel like I was there.
Because in a sense, we were there.
Yes.
You know, books are
In our
magical.
hearts.
That's right. I thought this could be a universal ride. You know, making
That'd be a good one.
Oh.
the Fort Anglia a ride, because I think they should, if they were going to make another one, another Hogwarts land, they could make the Burrow, you know, into something, and then the ride there could be the Fort Anglia.
Yeah.
Anyway, I said I would love this line on 72 after the fun wears off. Several uneventful hours later, Harry had to admit that some of the fun was wearing off. The toffees had made them extremely thirsty, and they had nothing to drink. And I just like, that's so realistic of, this is going to be amazing, like bros trip. And then you're like 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40, however much down the road, and you're like, was kind of boring. And it's hot in this car. I like how it even mentions it's summer right now, so I'm getting this of their backs were sticking to the seats. I was like, ooh.
Yeah, it's like the reality of the situation. And it's like, it's not as fun as we thought it was.
Mm-hmm. When this car starts to sputter and make noises, Ron thinks it's just tired, which
naturally.
I said that's what I did when my old truck was like dying and all my old vehicles, because growing up I always got used vehicles from like jank car lots, and I was always like, it's just tired. All right, give it a minute. Ron starts talking to the car in a bit, and I was like, same, I do that. He's like, almost there.
All
you can
needs
get
is
there.
A little pep talk.
And unfortunately it does not make eventually. I said the car does make it to Hogwarts, but only just, like a runner collapsing at the finish line. It dies right as they make it over the lake. And I meant to whistle because I wrote phew, and it was supposed to be yeah, it was supposed to be that. Thank you, Jonathan. And they fall right into the welcoming arms of a just lovely tree.
Very valuable.
Very, yeah. Since before you were born. I should note, Ron thinks stop is a spell because he's hanging his
what is the
wand
deal?
on
Ron always thinks dumb things are a spell, because in the first book, yeah.
That just reminded me of the whole, like, are you a wizard? I mean, are you a witch or not? Like, well, stop. What is this?
Now, let's keep that in mind, though, because in a minute we'll see something different. But anyway, that's how he breaks his wand. He's banging his wand on that. Hedwig is screaming in the back. Again, she's having a terrible day. Harry gets a massive lump on his head from hitting the freaking windshield. All right. Have you seen people like with like actual golf ball lumps on their heads? I would read this in books and never thought it was possible until I actually saw somebody in real life after a car accident have one of those. And I think, what is it? For our pop culture audience, Nicki Minaj hit Cardi B in the forehead with her heel, and Cardi B had one of those too. So people know what we're talking about now.
Wow. So basically, wear your seatbelts, kids.
That's right. Anyway, in spite of I like this. In spite of Harry's pain, he tries to comfort Ron over his wand, because he's like, he says he's feeling pain and he goes, hey, are you all right? I'm sure it's going to be fine. Don't worry. But before he can really comfort him, the aforementioned tree proves why it is actually not so lovely. And it's actually quite aggressive. The tree goes to work on him. Its branches are messing up that car, just smashing him. It says the tree even gives Ron an uppercut at one point. Just bam, right back, and he like falls right back into Harry's lap. Right when it looks like they're done for, though, the car turns back on. And so even though stop is not a spell, apparently reverse is, because Harry shouts reverse and the car throws it into reverse.
I feel like that one is more the car just going like, that's a great idea.
I've taken it into consideration, and I like it. Reverse. And even, no, I wrote that. The car backs up super fast. Throw it in reverse, Tara. And they zoom out of harm's way. Ron tries to thank the car, but the car is done with him and yeets them both out of there. I like that scene in the movie, when the doors open up and the seats like go sideways and then throw the birds out. The bird and the rat. Hedwig doesn't even look at them when she leaves. It's this way, like when her crate hits, she just bursts out and she doesn't even look at them.
I'm going to the hourly. I'm not seeing you in weeks.
She's just off to the hour, gone. They peek through so they sneak up to the school. Now that they're all safe, they peek through a window and they see the sorting is going on. Harry flashes back to his sorting for a second. We get a little recap of that. I know, so nice. They keep snooping through the window and checking out everybody there, and they notice that Professor Snape's not there.
What?
And they proceed to dunk on him quite hard. And this one was so childish. Like, it's such a 12-year-old thing to do, where they're like, maybe he's sick. Maybe he's gone. Maybe he cried because he couldn't get the Defense Against the Dark Arts job. When in all actuality, Snape is behind them. He's right behind them. And I like how he sneaks up on them because, they're saying all that, like, maybe he's this, maybe he's that. And then where is it?
Or maybe.
Yeah. Or maybe, he said in a very cold voice right behind them, he's waiting to hear why you didn't arrive on the school train. And
Dun, dun,
dun. I wrote down Snape is aura farming in this moment. That's what the kids say these days.
No,
I'm not familiar with that terminology.
It's like you're being cool and you're like letting people know how cool you are. Like it's like it'd be like, I'm trying to think.
Aura farming?
Aura farming.
Parker had a kid use that in his senior Bible study class, and they said, they even say it about Jesus. They were like, Jesus is peak aura farming right now.
Well, think of like when Aragorn opens up the gates and he's like, he could have just walked in, but no, that's not how he chose to enter that. He instead chose to give us the most sexy scene in all of cinematic history.
I feel that. Okay.
But the reason I said Snape was aura farming is because it says his robes are billowing in the wind. all that just to say that.
Oh yeah, so basically that's the detail we're going about.
Pretty sick, nasty. Anyway, they'd be busted.
But then the next line, speaking about aura farming, the next line is about how ugly he was.
So it's fair for him to try to, beef himself up.
And, okay, also, in light of the new Harry Potter series,
I knew you were going to bring this up.
I know, because it bothers me so much because of who they cast for Snape. And I'm like, do you think he can fit this description?
He's a beautiful man.
A thin man with a sallow skin. Sallow means pale or yellow. A hooked nose and greasy shoulder-length black hair. And I'm like, bad Snape cast.
You know what? I have thought about it, and I'm like, no. Let's go the other way. Instead of like them trying to make Papa Isidu look more like the canonical Snape, let's go the extreme opposite way. Let's make him super hot. So he's just walking around because it's so easy, to dunk on the ugly Snape. It takes true hatred for them to have to hate a beautiful Snape. All right, let's make Snape beautiful.
He's still an awful person.
He's still an awful person. I think if we could flip it and make it work like that. Anyway, Snape leads them to his office. He's a little disingenuous, Snape is, because he says he's like, I want to know why you weren't on the train. And then when they start to give him the reason, he goes, silence. So he doesn't actually want to hear. He just wants to yell at him. He asks what they did with the car, and Harry thinks Snape can read minds because he's like, we didn't say anything about a car, but really Snape just saw them in the paper. You were seen by no less than 7 muggles. I don't know why Snape had a lisp there, but anyway, so they're in trouble. Snape says, oh, and you damaged our cool fighting tree. You damaged this world's tree beard. And I like Ron's reply where he's like, I think it did more damage to, he goes, stop it, silence again. Silence. Snape says, I can't expel you, but I'm going to go get Daddy because he can't. And so basically goes off to get Dumbledore and McGonagall. They get to sit there for about 10 minutes thinking about what they did. And those were some of the most terrible moments as a kid when you're by yourself waiting for the punishment to arrive. It's like you sit in your room and wait until your daddy gets home.
Yeah. When that's actually the punishment. But there's also more punishment to come. But the real thing that was actually punishing was the
punishment's punishment.
The wait
for the punishment. McGonagall shows up with Snape, and she looks mad. And I thought this was interesting. In book 1, the first time we see McGonagall, Harry goes, that's a woman I don't want to cross. Like the very first time he sees her at Hogwarts, he thinks that's a woman I don't want to cross. The first time we see her in book 2, he has crossed her. Like his very first moment with her in Hogwarts, he's already ticked her off.
And they're like legitimately afraid that she's about to use her wand to take him out or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like they're like victims of abuse because she raises her wand and they all flinch. But I like her. Like now she's aura farming. She comes in the room and she commands it because they made note of how cold and dank the office. It's Snape's office. It was before with no lit fireplace. She walks in, commands the room. She owns it. She's like, I'm gonna light that fireplace, and she turns that on.
I know, and it's even though like the kind of she's super scary, but there's also kind of like the it's mommy and I'm in trouble, because they talk about how cold they were and the first thing she does is light a fire for them. And so at the same time you're like, oh, McGonagall.
I'm glad you brought that up because I had forgotten, so thank you for saying that. I thought they did a symbolism here. I think they did a symbolism where Snape didn't want to hear their excuses. So, it was almost like they were in the dark. And then McGonagall comes in, turns the light on. It's like she's shining a light on the situation and asks them for their explanation. So she's illuminating it. All right. They did a symbolism. They did a symbolism. So anyway, I like how she goes. So she hears their explanation, and she goes, you could have just sent an owl.
I know.
And Harry's like, I didn't think. And she goes, that is clear. Finally, Daddy Dumbledore shows up, and he asks them to explain like what happened again. We get that, an iconic line of like, it would have been worse if he just yelled at us. It's just like, I'm not mad, just disappointed.
The disappointed Dumby.
Oh, I hate to disappoint Dumby. The boys think they're done for. And so they're like, we'll go get our stuff. But Dumbledore and McGonagall they can't stay mad at our beloved main characters.
We gotta milk this for more
I
years.
I think
this is a money-making franchise. We can't expel y'all yet.
But okay, I don't know if I would have expelled them, but the punishment they do get is so light.
Weak sauce.
Light. Like detention. It's not even like
And a letter home.
Because and I like Harry's comment on that. I don't want to steal.
No, you can say it.
But Harry's like, the Dursleys will just be mad the Whomping Willow didn't kill me.
He's like, womp womp. Did it, womp womp. Anyway, Snape is ticked off, but Dumpy tells him to get over it. We got custard tart to go eat. He's like, I saw one in the Great Hall. I had my eye on. Let's go, Snape. So they leave the boys with McGonagall. We find out Ginny got sorted into Gryffindor.
Yay!
Turn this way a little bit. It looks like looks like Gryffindor is about to lose points. But Harry makes a great argument. He goes, McGonagall, before you say it, technically the semester hasn't started yet. So we shouldn't lose points for something we did over the summer, And I love how it goes like she almost smiled. Like he thinks that she almost smiled, and she's like, you're right. Gryffindor shouldn't lose points.
But you are going to get a single detention. Yeah, so watch out. That'll teach you.
If it's the last thing I do. So anyway, but she also, makes them some Sammies, conjures up some Sammies, and she goes, listen, I'm going to go get me some custard tart. Y'all eat these Sammies, and then go back to your dorms. You don't get to have the feast. That's also their punishment, okay? They don't get to go to the feast.
Wow.
This seems perfectly sufficient.
They just got replenishing sandwich plates of I even thought of a
sandwiches
comment,
is your punishment.
They got chicken and steak sandwiches or something luxurious.
Yeah, chicken and ham.
I had chicken and ham, but I'm like, oh, that's pretty nice.
That is a nice variety, I would say.
Also, they never went to the hospital wing.
Yeah, I know, and I thought I had.
Well, she's like, I'm all right, I'm fine.
No, she tells Ronald, you're bleeding, you should go. But Harry had the
golf ball lump.
Golf ball lump, and she doesn't say anything about that.
Maybe it had subsided.
Maybe.
No, it was part of their punishment to deal with these injuries. So anyway, they eat the Sammies till their little tummies are full. And then they head up to Gryffindor Tower. It's all quiet and dark. The feast is over. People are back in their dorms. They get to the fat lady, and they don't know the password. I almost thought about asking you what the password was.
I had that as one of my questions for you.
Yeah, I figured you would not. Do you know what the password is?
No.
Wattlebird.
I thought about
Which
that.
Which is a Pokemon now.
Is it?
Yeah.
That's funny.
The crossover.
I remember this because of the Chamber of Secrets video game. I just remember your little avatar Harry in front of the thing going, Wattlebird. Chamber of Secrets fans, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, they get to the fat lady. They don't know the password. Lucky for them, Hermione shows up, and she tries to get mad at them, but before they can, the common room door opens up, and everybody cheers them on. They're like, yeah! So the warm welcome they were expecting, they did get just a bit later, Yeah. Hands reach out, pull them through the doors. They get some high fives, some pats on the back. Fred and George are jealous. But Harry's he sees Percy walking up through the crowd, and he's like, yo, Ron, let's get out of here.
Let's dip.
And they head off to the common, or to their dormitory, which now says second years. And they're about to go to bed, but then the other boys come up and they're like, that was dope. And Harry's like, yeah, it was dope. And that's the end of the chapter.
So that's interesting. So I guess as far as their dormitories are
The dormitories.
The dormitories are concerned, they don't move rooms.
I don't
Whatever
think so.
room you had when you were first came, and then
Yeah, they just get new signs. I don't know. It's not clear to me. Like, I always have to have such a clear.
I thought you were going to bring up the fact that, like, you know, people take issue with, because J.K. Rowling says there's about 1,000 students enrolled in Hogwarts, and it's like, wait a minute, if you kind of average out the math,
There's 5 second-year boys
in Gryffindor, so maybe Gryffindor was just severely light that year. But I do remember there is a theory, but so the initial 40 list or whatever was the first 40 students that showed up. Apparently Harry's year had 40 kids is what she mentions. But even if you take that times 7,
Yeah.
it's not, even if you take 100 times 7, you're still not at 1,000. So the theories usually go that because this was the first Wizarding War generation, there were less babies. So
that's perhaps fair.
Perhaps. And you know what? Who doesn't like a good bit of retconning? You know? So anyway, our favorite lines of Chapter 5. What y'all got?
Oh, I have mine ready.
I mean, all the ones I noted down are kind of ones we hit on the read through.
Go ahead.
But, you know, obviously the restriction of thingy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of mine.
That's top notch.
My favorite is I didn't think that, said Professor McGonagall, is obvious.
Yeah.
One of mine, I already said it, but the one of them in the ride or in the car, and several uneventful hours later, Harry had to admit that some of the fun was wearing off. Toffees had made them extremely thirsty, and they had nothing to drink, and that's upsetting. There's not many good lines in this one, I feel like, but even still, did you guys have any others? I had one more.
I had Snape's big reveal. I enjoyed. Or maybe he's wondering where you've been.
Yeah.
That's not actually what the line says.
But close enough. And I hope Papa Asiju acts it that way.
Yeah, that one was good. And then I just, in general, love all of the imagery of them flying when it was still fun and not reality sunk in.
Before they had the first
sweaty
couple hours under their belt.
I'll say my favorite line of the whole chapter, though. Professor McGonagall gave him a piercing look, but he was sure she almost smiled, or had almost smiled.
Yeah.
But I love that. It's like, oh, she's got a little soft side. Anyway, on to our transfigurations. So I do have to confess this time, I cheated a little bit.
Oh my goodness.
I was so tired. Guys, I was so tired when I was taking my notes that I did not want to do any brain work when I was writing down my transfigurations. So I just looked up the list online of what are and normally I try to just do my own to make it a little more legit.
Yeah.
But I looked these up.
But
So anyway,
this is
to be
illegitimate.
Fair, I thought that's what you always did.
no, I come up with it myself. I'm
Okay.
a smart boy. So anyway, first transfiguration. Ron is, like I said, a bit more aware of the invisibility booster, you know, and well, so actually I came up with that one. That wasn't from the list. They don't even mention this.
Really? Because in the movie, Harry has that line like, you know, Muggles don't usually see flying cars.
Muggles aren't accustomed to seeing a flying car. Right. And then he hits it. But they check for, like Ron says, check the coast is clear, all that, and then he hits it. So Ron's a little more on top of things in that way. Yes, in the book. Also, there's no dope train scene, you know, where like they land in front of the train and they're like, and Hedwig's eyes turn around and get all big.
Is a good change.
Do you think adding that scene is positive?
I think
like
it's fun.
I think it's fun. I think that's what they were going for. It's a fun little thriller.
The whole like we almost fell thing.
Your hands all sweaty.
I like that line too.
I also feel like the book did a better job of getting a sense of urgency, of like giving them reasons to be late. I don't know. I feel like that didn't transfer.
Yes,
It was just like, oh, they just showed up like normal. And
now
you
didn't get they only had 5 minutes to get on the Hogwarts Express.
Yeah, they make no mention of it, and then when they go through, the whole family goes through, and then Ron and Harry hit it, and they get up, and they're like, the clock chimes, and they're like, "Oh no!" It's like, you didn't have time, even if you did make it.
Yeah,
through.
I
What are you
know, that's
talking
what I
about?
thought in the movie too. I'm like, you didn't have 5 seconds to get on the train. You're right.
Anyway, another one is in the book, Snape finds them, but in the movie, Filch finds them. Take a look around here, boys. This might be your last night in this place.
When you
Says
just got to set him up as a little bit more of a character before he
Before
becomes relevant.
Then some of so this is another Barry Transfiguration. The online people didn't figure this out. I need to add to the wiki.
That online people, you missed
right.
one.
That's right. Some of McGonagall's and Dumbledore's lines are switched. So in the book, Dumbledore's the one that says, "I must impress upon you like the seriousness of what you've done. You won't be expelled." But in the movie, it's McGonagall who says
I feel
those
like
lines.
they do that too, because they cut out so much scenes and they take away from stuff that McGonagall has, and then they try to give her other things back that aren't actually what she said in the book.
Yeah,
so they do.
and I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah, I don't either.
And we also don't get any sandwiches. We don't get all that
Oh
stuff.
my goodness.
So anyway,
They're not even, are they? Yeah, they were in Snape's dungeon though, right? That they did keep that or no? No, they didn't.
yes, they were in Snape's office
They were
because
in
that
Snape's,
scene
okay.
opens up with Snape in the
Okay.
newspaper. So on to our golden snitches, which are deep lore grabs from this chapter. And so, first of all, one thing that was mentioned, it wasn't mentioned by name, but extension charms. So that is what Mr. Weasley uses on the trunk and in the inside of the car itself to make it bigger on the inside.
That's what Hermione uses.
Yes.
Spoil.
Whoa!
Say anything.
Hermione
We've
uses
already
a
said,
spell.
we already said things like Hagrid's got fire dragon or whatever it's called, the fire burst thing.
You're never coming back. I will have no guests. So anyway, extension charms are advanced magic that are subject to strict control by the Ministry of Magic. They are not for personal use, although the Ministry will allow it for like family tents. Maybe we'll see that later.
But why?
Because apparently, like, and I remember this being somewhere in the books of like, it could. There's a potential issue with Muggles eventually owning something that has an extension charm on it, or maybe seeing a bunch of people walk into a small. I don't know. It was something about it messes with the statute of secrecy if these go unchecked.
I could feel that if you've got common objects that have been modified.
Yeah, because then people will sell them, and it might end up in a store that. I think that that happens in later books where, and I mean even
in this book, it's mentioned.
Mr. Weasley says like, oh yeah, the Muggles came to own this thing,
the tea set,
the biting teacup.
But what was I going to say? Oh, and so that explained, or that makes it apparent that Mr. Weasley was not actually supposed to do that to the car, so he's breaking his own law.
It's kind of.
I know, and then he did the loophole. Remember, he wrote the law.
Somebody was actually not intending to use it. So anyway, we also get. Oh, here's another one. This isn't from the book, but from the movie. The train guard, the one at the station that says like, "The frick y'all doing?" What in the
Blazes?
What the blazes?
That guy is an actual train worker. Like he actually works there.
I noticed too in the movie.
Well, I just thought it was cool.
That is cool.
He's the same guy in the first movie too.
It is, yeah. So when they were filming the first one, they were like, "Hey, you're an actual like you don't even have to act. You just do your job. You just want to do that." And they're like, and he's like, "Sure." And then this next year, he was still there. They were like, "Dude, we could so use you again." And then the last one I have for this chapter, Gamp's law of elemental transfiguration is somewhat brought into this chapter. Yeah. So Gamp's law of elemental transfiguration is basically like the law of thermodynamics, but for magic. Matter can neither be created nor destroyed. In the same type of way, you can't just magic things into existence, except for there's like 5 exceptions. And one of the exceptions is food, but it's not that the food comes out of nowhere. It's that it has to be transferred from somewhere else. And so when McGonagall makes the never-ending plate of sandwiches, there's somebody whipping up tons and tons of sandwiches for them. at that. I guess we can go ahead.
You know who it is, though.
I do know who it is.
Yeah.
It's mentioned in book 4.
Miss Weasley also uses it in the beginning of the chapter because she conjures the dinner. So she doesn't even. I guess she cooked it. I don't know. Did she cook it beforehand? Did she have the ghoul in the attic make it and then conjure it up? I don't know.
Listeners, write in. Let us know your theories at theretoldpodcast@gmail.com. Fan interaction, yeah. So anyway, that's all I got for this chapter. So moving on to chapter 6, Gilderoy Lockhart. Are y'all good? Do you use restroom? You know anything else?
I'm good.
Fantastic. Chapter 6, Gilderoy Lockhart, opening thoughts. This chapter's hilarious. This chapter's so freaking funny.
It's so funny. And there's so many, I love to hate him. I just love to hate him. It's so good.
I find myself wanting to talk like this. I make note of this of the way there's a moment, the first interaction with Harry, I'm like, I want to walk up to somebody and just treat them like this and have this guy, I had to kick myself. I know that it was because of me.
Also, the amount of courage I feel like it would take to say some of the things he does, because he knows he's a fraud, and Dumbledore knows he's a fraud. And the things that he'll say in front of the other professors, I'm like, they all think you're a fraud. That took a lot of courage to tell Madam, Professor Sprout, that you know how to do your job better than her. There's so many instances where he does that I'm like, is he oblivious or is he just that courageous?
I don't know if courageous is the word that we use for that. It's really
anyway, top form Lockhart in this chapter. So let's move on. Awesome night in the previous chapter, but Harry makes note that this next day, not so awesome. And why is that? Well, let's find out. First, they go down to breakfast, and Hermione ain't too happy with them. She's kind of stiff and cold with them, just one-word answers, all that kind of stuff.
You broke the rules, and you got everyone to just cheer for you when you went to bed last night?
You weren't punished. You guys are in agreement that they weren't punished.
I'm with you.
I kind of feel like they were.
I know, that's why I'm like, I relate to Hermione a lot. I already said that, so...
But Neville is nice to them, though. He gives them a cheerful, wonderful welcome and a nice reminder that the mail is about to show up. And y'all, besides Uncle Vernon, who doesn't love mail? Who doesn't love getting mail? I love getting mail.
Okay,
you love getting mail.
I'll tell you what. I just got a house for the first time.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I don't really like getting mail.
Oh, I know what you're talking
Everyone's
about.
like, oh, we got this public information about your mortgage, so we're going to pretend we're your mortgage company and say, you have to respond to this. This is urgent. It's, it's just not my cup of tea.
Our realtor literally warned us about that. She's like, any of the things in the mail that claim that you owe them this money, it's not true. And then you'll have homeowners insurance. You get homeowners insurance ads every single day.
Yeah, this is a good warning for any of our listeners who are trying to buy a home or just recently having bought one. Don't answer those letters.
Watch out for those letters you get.
Yeah. No, it was truly just a bit, but I do hate getting physical mail now. I'm always like, stop.
I get excited when I see those handwritten letters.
Yeah. If it's from a friend, sure. If it's from a friend, but I get so many just extended warranty or...
Yeah.
But when that letter starts smoking...
When that letter... You're jumping ahead. Apparently, today, Ron doesn't like getting mail because his mama has sent him a howler.
Oh, no.
Which we come to find out is the wizarding version of a very strongly worded email. Side note, I said I do like Hermione's reaction to Errol, because when Errol flops down and destroys her milk jug, he's like, oh no, and it says she pokes Errol, and it's like, no, I think he's still alive.
Okay, so speaking of Errol, this is maybe belongs in the Transfiguration section, but not really.
Okay.
Something that I noticed, the movie, when Errol flies in, so John Williams did the score, and he's a very sophisticated composer, but Hedwig's theme. Everyone knows Hedwig's theme. But when Errol flies in, it's like a kind of comical orchestration of that a little bit. The theme is different, but it's got the same vibe. But it's just subtly different in playful ways.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
And I just noted that and was like, John Williams, let's go.
Yeah, that's pretty genius. I never caught that, but it doesn't, and it ends with that jump, like right when he, I think it's a he.
Oh,
when
yeah.
Errol hits the, and it's a chip bowl in the movie. That's also a transfiguration.
Sorry, but
Whatever.
I just wanted to shout out to John Williams and just the way that he.
If he listens to this podcast, he'll be so.
Yeah, I know.
Like, yes, you're the best. They picked up on it. Well, everybody knows that Plotner is our music man, having done the rendition of Tiptoe Through the Tulips.
Oh, yes, of course.
And again, once we get that Patreon, we'll upload that video for the highest paywall, pay tier. But anyway, where are we? So the Howler pops off. Ronald Weasley, how dare you steal that car? It's an iconic moment. Basically, it's Molly Weasley just berating Ron for having stolen the car, getting in trouble. Now his dad is facing an inquiry at work, and it's all your fault. And if you put another toe, I'm not going to do the whole thing, but okay, I'll do the whole thing. No.
Okay, please do.
Yes, listeners, I'll do it. No mention of Jenny, though, and I was sad about that. We'll talk about that in Transfigurations. Yeah. Anyways, after the Howler has said its piece and things settle down, they head off to herbology. Do y'all think the Howler do you think the Howler was punishment enough from Molly?
I think so. I think he was just humiliated in front of the entire, Great Hall. So I feel like that was, yeah.
And what else would she do to him?
Well, she can't really do anything else until he comes home a half a year later. So
Yeah, that's fair.
Unless she gives him a command to do at school of you go sit in your room at Hogwarts.
Yeah, it's like how would she
get a timeout?
enforce that?
But anyway,
and also Ron's big punishment is he has a broken wand for the whole year that causes so many issues.
His big punishment was the one detention that he had.
Yeah, you're right.
That was the big guns that McGonagall pulled.
Yeah.
hey, that's a significant punishment. We'll talk about it. Not this time though. But anyway, I do like when they're walking to herbology. It said the one good thing about this though is that Hermione was now nice to them again because she thought they had been sufficiently punished at this point.
It's okay.
They're waiting with some other students outside for herbology to start when we get this amazing scene with Lockhart, from beginning to end. So he walks up with Professor Sprout. He's like, "Oh, hey, kids. I was just helping out Professor Sprout here, teaching her just basically mansplaining to her how to fix a damaged Whomping Willow." And I love how he goes, "But I don't want you getting the idea that I know how to do herbology better than your professor. No. I just happen to know about this extremely dangerous plant a little bit more than she does."
And it's in slings.
Yeah, that is funny to me. They've got to cast it up. I want to see that I'm really hoping that the TV show just is a good bit, has many more whimsical moments and has a bit more whims, especially in the first two seasons. But
there's so much that they could play with of just characters doing random things in the background because she mentions so much of that. Even just what people are doing in the common room as Harry and Hermione are talking about how to break into some part of the school.
Yeah. Or even the Flitwick thing we mentioned earlier with him just flying around. So anyway, the kids are hyped that Sprout told them to go to Greenhouse 3 because that's where all the more dangerous plants are.
Ooh.
I know. One of my quiz questions for you was almost going to be which plant was teething.
One of my questions for you was which plant did she slap away? So
I'm glad none of those questions were for me.
Harry's about to go in with the other students when Lockhart stops him. And what follows is one of my favorite moments in the whole series. I love this. Like I said, I want to find a real person, a reason to talk to someone the way Lockhart talks to Harry. It's so freaking funny. Just, Harry. I love it. Make a long story short, Lockhart says it's all his fault that Harry stole the car. He gave him a taste of fame by getting him on the front page of the paper.
He says, "Gave you the bug."
Gave you the bug, Harry. Harry he says, Harry's you're 12 years old. You need to chill. All right. You quit clout chasing, as the kids used to say. and quit aura farming, as the kids now say.
Kids.
You're too young for it.
Come on.
And, you know, just be patient and wait till you're older. I do, like, it is a huge thing that he does call Harry a nobody, which is crazy. You know,
Well,
there's some business about you and all you know who.
You know.
and it's like the whole series, everyone always looks at his scar, and he looks at his scar and he's like, I know, it's not quite as good as winning the Witch Weekly's Most Charming Smile Award 5 times in a row, but it's a start.
It's a start.
You're on your way, Harry.
And you know what? I agree. Harry didn't do anything. All right. That really, we should be. Oh, yeah, this isn't a spoiler. We should praise Lily. It's Lily
Yeah,
who
I
stopped
know.
Voldemort,
That
not
is-
Harry.
We should be praising Lockhart.
All of
this.
yes. So I bet Lockhart had
Charm
a hand in
and
all
youth.
that.
I do feel like Lily is not hyped enough for casting the most powerful spell that defeated the Dark Lord. Like,
I don't know. I listen to a lot of Potter podcasts, and everybody loves Lily.
Oh,
Hypes-
really?
Yeah, they hype her up all the time.
I
Way to
try,
go,
like,
Lily.
I'm like not, even though I love these things, I kind of try to stay out of fandoms because,
Except this podcast.
yes, except this podcast. But you're my friend,
Oh,
Barry.
right. So anyway, with I do like this with a dreamy wink, off Lockhart goes. You know, and Harry's just standing there like, what? You know,
Wait, does yours say dreamy?
no, it says a different
Okay.
word, but I use my own words
Okay.
sometimes.
I do love that he kind of the interaction between him and Professor Sprout when he's like,
Mhm.
"Oh, you won't mind if Harry's a bit late,"
Mhm.
and she clearly does.
Yeah,
but
she
he's
has a
just
look
like,
on her face. It's
Okay.
like that. Oh no, what does he say? That's the ticket.
Yeah.
And I want to
that's
bring
the
that
ticket.
back. I want to bring that, but start saying that's the ticket. Oh, could you imagine, like bedroom talk? That's the ticket.
Oh, that's the ticket.
I'm definitely using that. Anyway,
Restricted section.
the most restricted section. So anyway, back to the podcast. So he goes into herbology, joins the other kids. In today's class, they are repotting mandrakes. Yay! Hermione answers some questions about them, and they have some awesome upsides. You know, they can heal people, and they have some really bad downsides, though. They can also kill people. So it's great that we got 12-year-olds working with these things.
Yes.
Now, good news, though, they're young mandrakes. So as long as the kids got their earmuffs on, the worst that can happen to them is they get knocked out for several hours.
Oh, this goes back to 11-year-old detention. Oh, just send him in the Forbidden Forest for a monster killing unicorns.
You'll be just, and again, one of my favorite moments of that chapter is like they get hyped that the blood is getting thicker and like more numerous. So they're like, we're on the right path.
Oh.
So anyway, also forgot to mention a mandrake, basically a mud baby with little plants growing out of its head. You got a picture of it in your
They're
book.
really creepy.
Jesse has the illustrated edition, one of the big boy illustrated editions. I think we mentioned it earlier potentially, but anyway, she's flipping through it right now. So they look like mud babies with little plants on top of their heads. And so all they got to do is take these mud babies out of their old pots and put them into some new pots. Is that the picture of them? Good Lord, that's terrifying.
Okay.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
They're so disturbing.
You need to send me a picture of that, and then the week that this comes out, I'll post it on the Instagram.
Yeah, and like I had a newborn baby, right? And
And it
like,
looks like that.
it did not look like that. That is so creepy.
That's worse than the movie rendered. Like that's
For sure.
That's horrific.
It's so funny because this is obviously like a children's
Listeners,
book.
real quick, listeners, what this looks like is like the freaking cordyceps zombies
Yes,
from The
it
Last
does.
of Us.
It does. It looks like The Last of Us zombies. And this is a children's book, and some of the illustrations in here are like truly disturbing.
Well, it makes me think of a few years ago, I found the Lego Bible at Barnes & Noble. Have you guys seen the Lego Bible?
Yeah, I've heard about it.
It's terrible.
Yeah,
it's
got horrible
terrible.
stuff in it.
Again, it's meant to be like a children's friendly Bible, and then you get to like the story of Lot and his daughters, and you see Lego Lot and his daughters. You get to these awful battles, and you see dismembered Legos everywhere with like the Lego blood. You see Lego David and Bathsheba. It's not good.
Interesting. I mean,
I need to give me that
It's
letter.
No, I'm just saying, like, I would expect them to just maybe edit the Bible more, but I guess I'm torn because,
No,
like,
it's not that. It's
you
like,
should.
Well, it's comic book panels is what
Oh.
it is. So they could, because they don't, obviously, you don't include
Yeah.
everything.
Don't build your theology off of the Lego Bible, people.
I don't know. Listen, I'm a pastor, and I can say checks out. So anyway, they got to repot these things for some reason. I don't know what the significance is of pulling them out of the old pot into a new pot and covering them back up with dirt.
They're outgrowing
growing,
their
yeah,
current pot.
you have to
Oh,
do that
okay.
with like tomato plants.
Does it say that it's a bigger pot,
I don't know.
or is just repotting
I'm
implying
just
bigger
assuming based
pot?
off of my wealth of gardening knowledge.
Yes.
I have I was going to say dearth, but I think dearth actually means an excess. So I have a lack of gardening
That's
knowledge. So anyway, Sprout says 4 to a group. So it's our heroes all teamed up, and they are joined by a Hufflepuff named Justin Finch Fletchley. Very, what did I say? I said a very, very relatable line from Harry. Oh, Harry, Ron, and Hermione were joined at their tray by a curly-haired Hufflepuff boy Harry knew by sight but had never spoken to. There are so many people at my gym that I'm like legit friends with. I don't know their names. Like I'm just, and I have to, or there's also plenty of people I've never spoken to, but I've legit seen them for years at my gym. And we just like make the raised eyebrow eyes like when we pass each other. I can think of like a few people right now. It's like, we know each other. We've seen each other, but we've never spoken. So I get it. Anyway, Justin then gasses up Lockhart, talking to them. No. Before that, I like that he knows all of them, which makes the fact that Harry doesn't know him even more embarrassing because he walks up and he's like, I know you. Of course, you're Harry Potter. You're Hermione. You're super smart. And you're Ron. That was your car. Sick, bro.
It's not that hard to know the 3 students that defeated Quirrell and Voldemort and saved the Sorcerer's Stone last year that the whole school knew about. I mean, it's not really a feat.
Good point. Fairly taken.
Fair.
But Justin, okay, he was almost put into Eton. All right, they should know about him, dadgummit, because that's what he tells him. He gasses Lockhart up. He gasses himself up. And then he's like, but I ended up coming here. And I've heard getting into Eton is a really big deal. Like, have you guys ever seen Spy Family?
Yes.
It's like getting into a school like the one
it's like
there.
a prestigious,
Mhm.
yeah.
You haven't seen Spy Family?
No, actually, I have.
Okay, I thought you were like
It's
pulling
pretty
an
lit.
excellent. Yes, I know what you're talking about. Just
No, I was pulling a. Are you talking about the same thing I'm thinking
yeah,
about?
the school that the girl goes to.
Yeah.
I love Spy Family.
I
It's
love
so
it too.
freaking
Excellent.
much. It's one of my favorite shows. I was so sad when we finished it up,
Mhm.
and I just love it. And the new season's coming out in
Did you
October.
watch the
Oh,
movie
really?
like you said you're going
I
to?
did.
I didn't yet.
It's great.
Oh.
Really?
It's the music in that show is wonderful. Like today, I was landscaping today, and that outro, like the really jazzy one, I
Yes.
played it on repeat like
I
10 times in a
love
row,
that
and I was like,
song.
da-na-na-da-na-da-da-da-da. Oh, so good. And then the outro, the closing song for the movie, also amazing. Anyway, shout out Spy Family, I guess. The only thing I'm sad about, I'm very happy that my friends have great taste and have watched this anime. The one thing I was sad about, though, was it did ruin my joke. I wrote down my joke. My joke was going to be, you guys have heard this joke before, but have you guys seen Spy Family? To which you would say,
No, Barry.
that's right. And then I would go, me neither. And then we'd have a
You
laugh.
already
and
made that in the podcast.
I have?
Yeah.
Oh.
He was going for round 2. It's funnier the second time.
You keep back it. That's called a callback.
Yeah.
So anyway, when class is over, they clean themselves up and they head off to Transfiguration, where they do. I wrote down where they do what, Jesse? Because originally my Quizzits question was going to be what they did for you, but I was like, I got to make it a little more difficult. But do you remember what they do?
Wait, I'm sorry. I was dealing with baby bedtime.
Dang it, Jesse.
I need to start
Jeez.
over.
Okay. Where they head off to Transfiguration, where they do what?
1, 2, 3. Perverto.
No, Jesse. What? They are transfiguring, but that's not the answer I'm looking. What are they transfiguring?
They're transfiguring birds. Wait. I'm confused now.
I'm so angry. This ruined everything. All of it.
You mean
Cancel the
Matchbox?
podcast.
No, that's from book 1.
I don't know. I'm sorry. I was dealing with something else. What are we talking about?
I did hear a woman go, like, give me a very well explained explanation. An explained explanation.
Yes, that was very well explained.
I am not said woman. I do not have her intelligence of what mom brain is.
Well,
and you mentioned it a lot on your first podcast.
I know, yeah, and it's like a serious, real thing. And
I didn't know it was actually like
you
super
lose,
real.
You literally scientifically lose brain cells to make room for mothering instincts. But anyway, I completely lost the context of what you were saying, so I have no idea.
This has gone on long enough.
Follow the.
I'm gonna I need at this point. I don't even remember. Did you say follow the science?
Yeah, I did.
What does that even mean? Oh, about the mom brain. Anyway, they go to Transfiguration where they transfigure. It was something into buttons. Beetles into buttons.
Oh.
Beetles into buttons.
Oh.
That was a journey, and we all took it. I'm going to be so fascinated to see how much of this I edit out.
I know. I didn't remember that was in this chapter. They went to Transfiguration.
Dang, I should have asked you that. Well, it didn't matter. You got it all wrong anyway. When Ron's wand stinks, literally, because it says it smells like rotten eggs when he's trying to do a spell. He also accidentally kills a beetle, like his elbow like squishes the beetle. Our friend Ileana would not be happy about that. Mm-hmm. She loves beetles for some reason.
Because they're cute.
Yeah, sure. And then they head off to lunch. I like this. Harry asks what class they have next, and they get to see Hermione's schedule, and it's got hearts all around Professor Lockhart's class. And because Ron goes, why, demanded Ron, seizing her schedule, have you outlined all Lockhart's lessons in little hearts? And she's all flustered by that because it says she snatched the schedule back, blushing furiously.
Okay, fun fact, when I was the 12-year-old kid and these movies were coming out at the same time, or I probably was a little older than 12, but when they first came out and Gilderoy Lockhart, the actor, was cast to play him, and now looking back, I think he did a great job playing him in the movies. But as my little teenage self, I was like, he's ugly. I thought Gilderoy was supposed to be handsome.
You think Hercule Poirot is ugly?
I don't think he's that attractive. I think he does. He makes up with it with charisma, or as the kids say, riz.
Oh.
But in the movie, I don't find him attractive at all. I just think that yes, he does have a
wait a minute.
Style.
You're a wizard, Harry.
Yeah, I think he has a great smile, but conventionally attractive, no. I don't know. I never.
Maybe it's just him. I don't know what the actor actually looks like in real life. I know what he looks like now. He's old now, though. He played Hercule Poirot in the those new
Murder on the Orient,
Death on the Nile, and Haunting in Venice.
Oh, really?
Great movies.
That's funny because I thought he was more attractive as Hercule Poirot.
No freaking way. Shut your opinions on attractiveness are now all invalidated.
I might be on Jesse's side.
With that mustache thing? What are you talking about? That's one of the most wild looking mustaches I've ever seen.
I just love those books, though. It is a vibe, and I love Hercule Poirot, and I love Agatha Christie novels, and I love those movies.
I think I can do the rest of the podcast myself. That's crazy. Fun fact, this isn't that fun, actually. So, fact.
Lame.
That actor was married to the actress who played Trelawney. But they got divorced because he cheated on her with the actress who played Bellatrix.
Ooh.
So that's no good.
Yeah, not that fun of a fact.
That's not a fun fact at all.
Anyway, I shouldn't laugh.
Sad fact.
Sad fact. This has been Sad Facts with Retold. So anyway, they head outside after lunch and try to chill outside. But Harry and Ron are talking Quidditch, and Hermione is reading, and they notice that they're being watched by a small little boy. And who's that character? It's first year Colin Creevey. And what does he want? He just wants to take a picture with famous little Harry. It's a cute scene, where he's just like, I want to get a picture with you. I like in Jim Dale's version, he was, can I get a picture? The way he says it. So we get to see little Colin all excited about magic and Harry and his camera. And he asks if Harry could also sign the photo. And that's where things get south. Get south? Go south. Why is that? Because Malfoy hears this and he starts talking all the trash. He's throwing jabs left and right at our heroes. But before things can get too bad, Lockhart shows up. And again, another amazing scene. This actually makes things worse for Harry. As a kid, the teacher might show up to prevent the fight, and it's like, oh, thank God the teacher showed up. This is not a, oh, thank God the teacher showed up moment. I do like that while he's talking, though, Draco pulls a Homer Simpson meme, because, it says he slinks back into the crowd. So it's Homer Simpson just disappearing into the bushes.
So I will say, traditionally, I have been Jim Dale. When I was preparing for this,
you shut your freaking
to Stephen Fry, and honestly, I could go either way. Like I'm cool with both of them, but I'll say the way that Stephen Fry voices Draco is like a whole different thing.
Really?
Yes, he actually just sounds really, really cool.
Care to give us a?
No. You'll just have to.
I'm still a Stephen Fry virgin, so
I know I've never listened. I've only listened to Jim Dale. So
I gave it a shot. It's fine, But the way that Draco sounds in the two adaptations, way different.
I'll have to check it out. So anyway, Draco slinks back in. Lockhart covers for Harry, quote unquote, by getting Colin to take a picture of both of them. And I thought it was funny that Colin's not included in the photo because it said Colin has to take it, and he wanted to be in the photo with Harry. But Lockhart goes, nothing's better than that. And he says, a double portrait can't get better than that. And Colin's like, I wanted to be in it.
I don't care about you.
And the point of it was to prove that he met Harry, but that's not proof now.
It's not proof. But Lockhart and Harry are going to sign it, as Lockhart promised. There are, I almost said a spoiler. Remind me of Colin Creevey in the restricted section.
I have so much about Colin Creevey too.
Good. So anyway, Lockhart leads Harry to the school because, they got to go to Defense Against the Dark Arts anyway. Harry gets another great lesson from him, about not being too egotistical. I love this. Love all this. Big fan of Lockhart.
And you wouldn't want people to think you're big-headed.
Yeah. But I do like how he mentions, when you get to be me, you'll have to carry around a stack of them just in case. But not yet. Anyway, in class, Ron gives Harry a good roast. It says, you could have fried an egg on your face, said Ron. You better hope that Creevey doesn't meet Ginny or they'll be starting a Harry Potter fan club. Shut up, snapped Harry. The last thing you needed was for Lockhart to hear the phrase Harry Potter fan club.
Such a good line.
Game ender right there.
Then the class begins and you guys are going to love this. This class, it's amazing. I am so sold on Lockhart as the Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher for the first half of this class. So it's an awesome way to start because he holds up his own book and he just says, me.
I know.
Me. I got to do that with the podcast, open up my Spotify, show it to a stranger and just go, hey, me. Jesse, you could do that with your book. Oh, yeah. Just put it on the shelf at Barnes and Noble or something. Have somebody walk by, grab it. Hey, me. I love that so much. And then he also gives them a pop quiz, and this is the best pop quiz imaginable. Truly for Defense Against the Dark Arts. Yeah. You see, you know what a pop quiz is, right? We all know what a pop quiz is. It's a quiz that's surprising. All right, to test your knowledge, but in a surprising way. And that's the point. What is more surprising? Not just a quiz you didn't know was coming, but a quiz on a subject that the class isn't even about. All right, and this kind of unpredictable thing is the kind of thing they'll have to be ready for when it comes to defending themselves against the dark arts.
Yes.
This is genius.
Constant vigilance.
I thought about writing that. This is genius on the part of Professor Lockhart.
So another quizzage question I almost gave you was how many questions was on the Gilderoy Lockhart quiz?
I might have gotten that. Might have.
Can we talk about how one of the quiz questions that he gives is his secret ambition?
I love that line.
Yeah, so let me just say, the quiz is a quiz about him. It's a quiz all about him and the wonderful thing that is Lockhart. So yes, there are
his secret ambition he writes about.
So the class doesn't do too well on it. They miss some super easy questions.
Yes,
if they
like
just
I
read. Oh, I thought his ambition about hair care products was funny. Not just because it's a funny thing, but so already he's setting himself at odds with Harry, saying he's greater than Harry, and in these earlier things.
Oh, yeah.
But Harry's family, like the reason Harry is wealthy is because of the hair care product that his grandfather came out with. And so it's like Harry's family, been there, done that. And you're still trying to do that, Lockhart? That's crazy. Anyway, good catch me. So Lockhart, this is where I wrote Lockhart and I told you guys this before the podcast. This is where he ruins all my love for him right when he calls Hermione, a 12-year-old child, good girl, for getting a question correct. That's too creepy for me. I'm done with him. Burn it. It's over. So anyway, time for the lesson to start.
Not done with him.
He's not.
Spoiler alert.
Lockhart is got some super dope and dangerous creatures for y'all. It could even kill you. If I wasn't here, you'd be done for. Something so awful, so terrifying. What is it? Cornish pixies. Freshly caught Cornish pixies. So the class laughs at him when they see these pixies, and they don't take him seriously. So Lockhart lets them out of their cage. And to be fair, it does frighten everybody. He's like, this is a terrifying thing. And they laugh and he lets them out. And it turns into pandemonium. Do you know what pandemonium actually means?
It's with those lots of pandas living together.
No, close. I think that's the second. If you look it up in the dictionary, one is what I'm about to say, and two is yours. Okay. I know this because Bailey was so obsessed with this word after she read Paradise Lost. And I think it was created by the author of Paradise Lost. Pandemonium, pan meaning all, and then demonium, demons. And in Paradise Lost, so this is a fun little, golden snitch, for anybody that actually cares. But in Paradise Lost, there's a giant, Satan has this giant castle or whatever filled with demons, and it's called Pandemonium. So anyway, that's where the word pandemonium comes from. This has been not sad facts.
Yes.
Fun facts.
That's more fun.
Satan with a castle of demons.
Yeah, it's perfect.
we had a great time. I'm gonna read this though. It was pandemonium. The pixies shot in every direction like rockets. Two of them seized Neville by the ears and lifted him into the air. Several shot straight through the window, showering the back row with broken glass. The rest proceeded to wreck the classroom more effectively than a rampaging rhino. They grabbed ink bottles and sprayed the class with them, shredded books and papers, torn pictures from the walls, upended the waste baskets, grabbed bags and books, and threw them out of the smashed window. Within minutes, half the class was sheltering under desks, and Neville was swinging from the iron chandelier in the ceiling. Ah, what a swing from the chandelier. You're welcome. But anyway.
See ya later.
Oh, I see what you did there. See, that's the name of the artist that this has been fun facts with Rachel. Yes, more callbacks. So anyway, they get up. The bell rings and everybody leaves, even Lockhart. And on his way out, he tells the trio to take care of the rest of them. I'll just leave you to nip the rest of them back into their cage. And our heroes are like, yeah, he's definitely not legit. And Hermione's just like, he could be. And
he just wants to give us hands-on learning.
That's right. And that's the end of the chapter. Yay!
And I will say, the movie gives Neville an extra line in it that's so good. Mm-hmm. And he's like, why does this always happen to me?
Why is it going to me? Yeah, I love that. So anyway, on to our favorite lines for chapter 6, Gilderoy Lockhart. Obviously, everything Lockhart said is
Yes,
a favorite
I
line.
highlighted so many things that he said.
My first one was, that's the ticket. I love that line. I also wrote, it was remarkable how he could show every one of those brilliant teeth even when he wasn't talking. Because Harry's like, that's crazy. How's he doing
Okay,
that?
do you generally show more teeth when you're talking? 'Cause that's kind of weird. I feel like you show less when you're talking.
Listeners can't see it, but all of us right now are just...
We're all trying to talk with our lips wide open.
But some of y'all's favorite lines?
Okay,
Say it with all your teeth showing.
I highlighted so many, but I starred the one Gilderoy Lockhart line that you've already read is me. He said, pointing at it and winking as well. Gilderoy Lockhart, Order of Merlin, 3rd class, honorary member of the Dark Force Defense League, and 5-time winner of Witch's Weekly Most Charming Smile Award. But I don't talk about that.
It's funny because he literally mentioned that to Harry
Yeah,
on the way to class.
and like multiple times. Like I think he said that 3 times. And then,
But I don't talk about that.
but I don't talk about that. I didn't get rid of the abandoned banshee by smiling at her.
Honor.
The last thing he needed was for Lockhart to hear the phrase Harry Potter fan club.
Yeah, that's a good one. What's another one I had? Harry yanked his robe straight and headed for a seat at the very back of the class, where he busied himself with piling all 7 of Lockhart's books in front of him so that he could avoid looking at the real thing.
The real thing.
I like that. Any other favorite lines for you guys?
We mentioned it before, but I love the Hermione seemed to think they had been punished enough after the Howler.
Sufficient. Very good. So those are all of our favorite lines, and we're going to move on to our Transfiguration section, which, again, differences between books and movie. We've already said a few of them for this chapter, but again, the first one, already said it, but Errol hits a bunch of chips in the movie whenever he lands on the table instead of the milk jug.
Yeah, that's an unacceptable change to me.
You want to see the splatter?
Okay, because I was about to say I quite like the effect of potato chips flying all over the table.
I would like to have seen Hermione again. I like to see, like in the TV show, to see more of them being childish. So Hermione like poking it, going,
It's a lie.
It's a lie. It's okay. Because they don't often give Hermione childish moments in the movie, which again I'm not upset about, but because they had to focus on something. But I'd like that in the show. Anyway, as we also said, no mention of Ginny in the Howler.
Yeah, that was a good ad.
Yeah, it was.
Oh, and Ginny, dear, your father and I are so proud. The Collins scene is much shorter, and it's inside. It takes place at the table in the Great Hall. There's no Lockhart or Draco in that scene, so it's not as big of a deal. The Slytherins are also
because they merged that in the movie. I noticed because they have to shorten things, so I'm pretty sure they merged the Draco scene with the eat slugs and egg plants.
Yes.
So they merge all those things.
Understandably.
Yeah.
The Slytherins are in their herbology class in the movie, when in the books it's just the Hufflepuffs. And final one that I have, Neville is hung on that big skeleton monster, whatever it is. It's way too big to be a Thestral.
A Leoplorodon.
Is that what it is?
I don't know.
Is that a word? Did you just come up with that word?
No, it's a word that's used in things.
People use that word somewhere.
right after the restriction of thingy.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's somewhere. So yeah, but in the book, on the metal chandelier, and that's all the transfigurations I have. So
they did get rid of really the whole Hermione is upset with them.
Yeah, that's true.
And
whole thing.
Yeah, most everything is just they got rid of Gilderoy telling Madame Pomfrey, like, he knows the Whomping Willow and taking Harry, like that scene's not in there. So they just deleted.
A lot of omissions.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So of all the ones we mentioned, which one would you have liked for the movies to have kept from the book? Yeah, I think you mentioned the potato chips.
Oh, no.
Or no. Yeah, that's flopped. Yeah, so which one would you have liked to have for the movies to have kept of these
movies to have kept?
I would have liked for these scenes with Harry and Lockhart to have been included.
Yeah, I would have liked the full Colin Creevey and Gilderoy. I saved you there, Harry. Like I would have liked for that one to be in there. and especially, we'll get to this, but like Colin Creevey, they cut him out, and then they never even put him in.
I think that actor
books.
had scheduling conflicts when it came time. Like he's mentioned in the fourth movie, he's replaced with Nigel, essentially. That's what the wizard's called. That comes up and is like, I promised him Harry's autograph. You know that one scene. But anyway, John,
I think the whole like everyone cheering for them in the common room.
Oh yeah.
And the deal with them skirting Percy and Hermione's disappointment. I like that whole
I didn't even think about the previous
interplay.
chapter. Yeah.
Is that the previous chapter?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, it bears on this chapter because that's where
this
like
podcast
the
discussion.
Hermione. Sorry, guys.
No. That's great. I'll just see myself.
Let's go.
So there you have it. That's our Transfigurations. On to our golden snitches, lore grabs, and all that stuff. First one, we get our first mention of howlers in this chapter. It's kind of already being explained what they are. They are these letters that are sent with the intent of like expressing incredible anger towards the recipient. And one cool thing about them, though, that's not made explicitly clear in this is that if you don't open them, they said something bad will happen. They will increase in temperature until it explodes. So if you don't open, that's what happens. And then the screaming is like even louder than it would have been if you didn't open it. So the quicker you open it, the better, as Neville says.
It even says that Harry thought that it exploded. It was going to explode.
It would have been even louder had he waited. And that happens later in the books. One of the characters gets a howler and he like tries to rush out of the Great Hall with it, and they can hear it from the entrance.
That's a good one, because I was going to ask that question.
What
happens if you don't open it?
Oh, that's boom. Fun facts. Then we also get mandrakes, and we've already talked about them. They're mud babies, and not too much Wizarding World info on them. Like they said, they are used for potions to fix transfigurations and poisoning sometimes. But in the real world, they're part of the Solinacrae family or Nightshade family. I probably pronounced the first word wrong, but part of the Nightshade family. In the real world, they can be used as a painkiller, but too much is deadly.
Ooh. Don't hear their cries.
That's right. It's funny. So when you look it up on the Harry Potter wiki, there's a note at the top of the wiki that says, this is about mandrakes in the Harry Potter world specifically. Mandrakes are a real thing. So if you're looking for actual information, that's not here. That's basically what the note says, which I do like that they include
on mandrakes.
I'm not going to say much about this because this will be for a later chapter in a later book, but venomous tentaculas are mentioned in this chapter. It's important to note. So just remember some venomous tentaculas.
Yeah, and you can throw that at people in Hogwarts Legacy.
And then my last one is Lockhart's spell, Pesky Pisky Pesternomi, because that's the spell that he tries to say to get the pixies back into their
pesty pixies.
Those pesty. I wonder if you could say that 5 times fast. Pesky Pisty Pesternomi. Yeah. That's the spell he uses to try to put them back. 2 things on that. One, the actual translation of it would be annoying pixie, annoy me no more. So that's if you were to translate it from the Latin.
Desirable outcome.
And then one cool little tidbit. This isn't in the book, but in the movie, in the 5th movie, when they're taking their owl exams, in the fifth movie is the movie of montages. It just shows a bunch of flashes of newspapers and their exams even at times. And there's a shot of one of their exam papers. And one of the questions is, this isn't word for word, but something along the lines of the spell Pesky Pisky Pesternomi a real spell? And what is it trying to do? That's included in
really?
one of
That's
the
funny.
things. Yeah, I like that a lot. But
Is
anyway,
it a real spell? Does it work?
Apparently not.
Unless it was just used in the wrong hands.
Yeah. See, and it's funny because I feel like there are so many spells in her world that are just so specifically weird, like the bat bogey hex, like turning your boogers into bats.
Yeah, I want to know what the incantation is for that one. Like, what's the Latin for that? Anyway, that's pretty much all I got for Golden Snitches, which means, guys, we're all we're speaking that parcel tongue, about to get to the Chamber of Secrets, the restricted section, if you know what I mean. Head on out of here, you mudbloods. You don't want to hear this.
Whoa!
Yeah, let's not escalate that far.
So yeah, for anybody who doesn't want spoilers, this is our restricted section where we're going to talk anything that we wanted to mention from these two chapters that have big spoilers in them for either this book or the rest of the series. If you don't want to hear those, get on out of here. I got to come up with a new one. I guess I'll say, rather than, die a most painful death, like from first book, for this one, it can be, your skeleton will rot in the chamber forever. If you don't want that to happen, which
would not recommend,
which is also somewhat of a spoiler too when I say that. But anyway, but thank you so much for listening. Hope to see you next week for chapters 7 and 8, which are, what are the names of those chapters? 7 and 8. Or we're getting there. 7 and 8.
Wasn't part of my reading assignment for this podcast.
I know, Mudbloods and Murmurs and the Death Day Party. And I'll be recording that with John from First Time Readers, who did one of the episodes last time.
That was a good episode.
Yeah, I love that one. So good. But anyway, looking forward to that. Anyway, get on out of here. Goodbye. It's time for the restricted section. Anyway, Jessie. Listeners, I pointed at Jonathan when I said that. Jessie, did you have anything you wanted to mention?
Yeah, I mean, let's just talk about how the whole book almost didn't happen when Ginny left the house and left her diary at home, and she had to go back and get what I assume to be is Tom Riddle's diary, because JK often drops those things in there. And so, if they didn't go back for her diary, it would have been a peaceful year at Hogwarts.
Well, I was going to ask about that. What do we think Molly and Arthur would have done when they found the book?
If she had left it.
If she had left it.
I gotta think that Arthur, and we know further in the books, he gets promoted and he goes after dark artifacts. So he knows enough about them that I feel like he would kind of know and get suspicious. And
I think the argument for him not being taken in by it is he's the one that has the saying, especially at the end of the book when he's rebuking Ginny about this. What have I told you? Don't trust anything that can think for itself if you can't see where it keeps its brain.
Yeah, that's such a good one.
Okay, how about, sorry, that might be encroaching on a different thing.
AI?
No. The car.
Yeah. But he didn't know at that time that the car kind of developed a personality of its own, which is also a restricted section moment, I guess. But just how funny the car is, because it gets its own personality and then comes back throughout the books and
Yeah, I like that it actually comes back in the 5th book, I think.
Yeah, the 5th book, and it gets them in the forest with Umbridge. It saves them, doesn't it?
Something like that.
Yeah, I can't remember, but
it makes a return at some point, and it's never. But it never is in the movies.
It never comes back in the movies, but it certainly does in the books. I haven't.
The end of this book and movie, but in subsequent ones, I don't think so.
No. In subsequent books, it comes back. But
I think it's the 5th one.
Yeah. I think so too. I think
listeners, right into the Retold podcast.
I know. I haven't read the 5th book in a while. We're not there yet in the podcast.
That's right.
But I'm pretty sure that it comes back for in some scene in the forest with Umbridge.
Okay, but before we move fully away from the whole diary situation, something that I was thinking is it's not crazy far into the school year that the Chamber of Secrets is opened.
No.
It's pretty early on.
I think it's Halloween.
So I was like, how is it that this works so quickly?
Well, I think she was writing it before.
That's what I actually did a little bit of a research project. Not really. But I did look up. I was like, okay, how long of a time happened before, after they got the book from Flourish and Blots, after it was deposited, and they left for school. So it was a month total that Harry was at the Burrow. And their letters came 1 week into that month. After their letters, they went shopping on the next Wednesday.
So maybe half a week.
So yeah, probably like a week and a half into his month stay at the Burrow, they were at Flourish and Blots.
So she probably had it for 2.5 weeks.
So she probably had it for like 2.5 weeks. And I noticed, like, specifically, she shrieked when she had forgotten the diary. So it clearly had...
Yeah.
I think, she had been already
attached.
using, so to speak.
She's using. Poor Jenny.
So that was something that I feel like checked out. Because initially I was like, that's just way too soon for her to have gotten, like, attached to this to the point where, I don't know, she's that possessed.
Yeah, and even, like, later Tom says that he had to listen to Ginny talking all about her crush with Harry, and that was, like, most prevalent at the Baroque. She was living with him.
Yeah.
Any other, did you have another one, Jonathan?
So, I mean, I do, like, the car is just a whole other thing.
Yeah.
Like, can we, I don't know, what sort of magic goes on that this thing...
See, so I think this
just develops a life of its own, like, independent thought.
Yeah, that is funny. So there's a moment in book 1, and this was on my episode with Dusk Cerberus. The broom that Neville's riding, after he falls off it, just wanders off by itself. And I was like, did that broom become sentient? Like, what's going on with that? And so something similar here again, like how, I guess, just uncontrolled magic just all of a sudden takes over this car and turns it into something else.
Like, Peeves the Poltergeist is the representation of all the mischief and pranks of students, and so I feel like in this world she's set up that the potential for embodiments of magic to be given to other things, you know?
Okay.
So,
I like that.
and I mean, so one of my other favorite books is Howl's Moving Castle, and Diana Wynne Jones is one of my other favorite authors, and she does this thing that, I mean, she wrote, I think, before this, but people, like the witches and wizards, they speak magic into things often, and so the, like, witch in her book, she doesn't know she's a witch, and she talks to these hats as she makes them, and then the hats become embodied with these spells, and they affect people that put the hats on, and so it's kind of neat. But I feel like it's that kind of thing.
Very likely. Very likely.
Dobby's plan.
Oh, he's so dumb.
So, like, how fortunate does he have to be? You know, no other people show up late to the Hogwarts Express. Everyone's there 5 minutes, and then what would have happened if they hadn't been the last ones to go? It's like, how many different little things
But you
stack
need to
up?
think about Dobby, like, okay, you're not that smart, because you think that just because Harry's friends aren't writing to him, he's not going to want to go back to school. I mean, and then stopping him from getting onto the train. Oh, foiled him. Like, there's no way they can get to school now.
Yes, it was a terrible plan. What other restricted section do I have? Colin Creevy.
Yes.
Yeah.
What was this? I am unaware of what you guys want to talk about.
Okay.
What did you want to talk about?
So let's talk about his hero moment where he fights in the Battle of Hogwarts, and he and his brother die.
He and his brother both died because McGonagall says only 7th years are allowed to stay, but they sneak back and they're both killed ultimately. I don't think we see how it happens. We just know they both died.
And so it's so interesting too, because he talks about his parents are muggles, his dad's a milkman, and both he and his brother are wizards. It's like, there might be something going on there that his parents don't know about. But so both he and his brother.
I just got what you meant.
And it's in the restricted section.
It's okay. We're in the restricted section.
Yeah, this section is restricted for more than just spoilers.
No secrets in this chamber.
Yeah, so he and his brother are wizards, and they're just little noble kids that they want to go and fight. But and obviously Colin has a bunch of other, like, little cameos in the rest of the books that all get cut out in the movies, because he never comes back and he never fights and dies in the 7th movie. So
I, for the life of me, can't remember what I was going to say about him.
Wow, he
Was it
told
not
us
that?
to remember.
I think it was something different. I know his brother's name was Dennis. I can't remember what I was going to say.
Dennis fell into the water.
I love that. And the
so
squid
cute.
actually picks him back up and
Yeah.
pushes him in.
Good guy squid.
Mandrakes.
Yes.
Okay. The book says that they are an essential part of antidotes.
Essential.
Okay. And you're telling me that these mandrakes that are planted, that whatever healing properties that you can get from fully mature mandrakes is not available anywhere else to prevent the plot of this book from happening? Because it's like, oh, we've got to wait to get these people healed.
That's fair. Maybe Hogwarts is just cheap. They're like, we already got it
already got
here.
this.
Well,
So we
we're
just
about to
gotta
be
wait.
closed because the Chamber of Secrets is open and people are getting petrified
Well,
and we
and-
can't
Well,
tell
maybe-
what the reason is, and we
maybe-
can't, like, I don't know, Asio Mandrake. So there's
Maybe it's they don't trust other people to brew it correctly, like to raise them correctly, you know?
Yeah. But, and also, I mean, we know that the basilisk will just kill you. So it's only by happy accident that people are getting paralyzed. So even if they had unparalyzed everyone, it wouldn't really have solved the problem.
Well, it could have solved some of the problem.
could have
Because
solved
they
it.
say,
Yeah,
that
could-
was a
I
massive
saw a giant
snake.
snake.
I looked at it through the reflection on the
yeah.
Mrs. Norris could have just meow, meow, meow.
So that was the thing. I was like, really? Like, they're it's not, I don't know if you guys who know more than I
Maybe-
know something about the rarity of mandrakes that makes that.
Not a thing. I
Maybe.
do think it's funny.
Fully grown mandrakes are only available in certain seasons.
Yeah.
I do think it's funny though that like these mandrakes are like sentient things, and it says that later in the book, Professor Sprout is having to deal with them basically like they're in heat. It says they're
the
adolescents,
teenage
like they're in their
years,
teenage, and
yeah.
the boy mandrakes are trying to like sneak into the girl mandrake's pots, and they're also like partying and stuff.
Oh,
so
mandrakes.
makes me think of again restricted section talk. My you guys are like, what the heck are you about to say? My Jessie and I both own sibling dogs, and these dogs came from my parents own the mom and dad dog, and their names are Nikki and Rogue. And when Nikki was in heat, we separated them because we did not want to have a litter at this time. So we put Nikki on the back deck and Rogue in the kitchen, and we had a window unit for like an AC. Love was not to be denied, and Rogue literally knocked an AC window unit out of the window in order to get to his woman. So love finds a way, everybody. Love wins. Man, what a wonderful restricted section. Did you have something else?
I did just want to talk more about how Lockhart is kind of a stupid phony. Like, if I was just totally full of it, I wouldn't give myself so many opportunities to shine a flashlight on that.
I would just keep the books coming out.
When he offers like, oh, I could brew the potion myself. What if they were like, okay, do it.
Well, we see that when that does happen, he comes up with like excuses to get out of it.
But it's like, why
very much
put
like
yourself in that circumstance to begin with?
Yeah.
You just expect people to refuse every time.
I could see it being like you try to be a little tricksy with it, where you only offer help after it's confirmed that somebody else is doing it. Like, oh man, I was gonna. I
would have done that. I
guess we'll wrap up with this one. I am a huge Dumbledore defender. Huge Dumbledore defender. I love him. I think most of his flaws are just like either misunderstood or for story reasons. This is the worst one. I feel like him hiring Lockhart, because if you go on to like
that's
HarryPotter.com and you look at the extra writings from J.K. Rowling, it says he pretty much knew that Lockhart was a fraud, because he knew some of the a guy who one of the, let's say it was Weekend with
the Walrus
Wandering with Werewolves. Let's say it was that. Dumbledore knew that actual guy, and when he heard Lockhart taking credit for it, he was like, that's when he started to catch on that he's a phony. And it says in this article that Dumbledore hired him so that he could be exposed for so long and ultimately like exposed as a fraud. And so it's like, that's not good teaching. That's not like you intentionally hired
as a pawn
I
to
can
expose the
defend-
phony.
I feel like I could defend that though, because that to me is not the worst mistake Dumbledore made. Because okay, he knows this guy.
He's done worse.
No, I like Dumbledore. Like I like him as a character. I don't have his hatred that some fans do for him. But I feel like if that was his intention, which I didn't even know it was, I understand, because he's not thinking that this tragedy is going to happen. He's thinking the worst that can happen is my students don't learn something useful for a year and this guy gets exposed. And also, I can't find literally anyone else to fill the post, so why not expose this guy? I feel like I would. You're just sacrificing a year of learning. Like,
it's just the COVID year.
I mean,
the year 2 was the COVID year at Hogwarts.
The COVID year.
Okay, but it's not just that year, because I feel like most of the time they're not learning anything.
Well, COVID went on a little while. You know, year 3 is like 6 feet apart. You know?
Yeah.
Just 3 weeks to.
He did the best he could with a cursed position. Because if you think about it, if things worked out, like Lupin was a good teacher, Moody, if it was the real Moody, also would have probably
he was a great teacher.
A good teacher.
Even fake Moody.
Even fake Moody was a pretty good teacher.
Foodie?
I'm a little bit of a foodie.
Yeah, and he didn't get a choice. He didn't get a choice for Umbridge. So, and then he didn't have. Who was 6? 6 was Snape. I mean, that wasn't necessarily a bad choice.
Honestly, I feel like Snape would be a pretty good teacher for that, and was.
He did seem to be somewhat good at it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's all I got, everybody. Do you guys have anything else?
No, lots of fun. All fun.
I think that's what I got.
That's what you got. Well, fantastic. Like we said, that's all we have. They did, again, as always, anything you guys want to plug? Anything you want to talk about?
I mean, I've already plugged my book, and then
I'll leave a description in the show notes about that.
Parker tells me that I have to plug that I'm writing another book. So.
That's right. Your fans want more.
Yes.
Shout out to my beautiful wife, Hannah.
Heck yeah.
You will listen to this even though she has really no interest in Harry Potter.
Did she listen to the one you did before?
Mm-hmm.
That's probably why it's the most listened.
Yeah.
She's just got it on repeat.
Did she listen to any of the others or just with you?
I'm not sure.
Because Parker's been listening to all of them, not just mine.
You know, I'm afraid to ask. So it's like, I know Bailey sometimes listens because I assume she completely didn't. And she goes, no. Like with our friends, I'll listen to those ones. And I always give you your download at least. I was like, oh, thank you, baby. So anyway, that's all we got. That's all we have now.
Listen, Barry.
I do too. I listen to all the episodes.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much. And I listen to y'all's episodes.
Oh, really?
More than you guys have, most assuredly, especially with the editing. Anyway, thank you everybody for listening. This has been a wonderful time. Chapters 5 and 6. I had a great time. You had a great time. We simply must do this again sometime. We'll catch you later. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
And that's a wrap. Thank you for listening to Retold. Artwork for this podcast was created by Rachel Ortlip. Music was created by Taylor Jarvis. And the Retold podcast is produced by me. That's right. I made this.